in farmers, because that way we can scale the efforts. And so for us, this today's event is actually a landmark. So the masterclass was likely was an experiment. I didn't even think people were going to pay so much attention to it. So one of those masterclass, Dr. Timsia, I think my note is out, got her slightly confused. She's going to be here. So she talked about disease diagnosis and then somehow, and it wasn't really that planned. It was just spontaneous that, all right, so if this is that important, because another thing is to say that something is important and then you don't back it up with action, right? So if anybody comes up and said, okay, I have a structure and then there's a laboratory that I want to build and the person needs one or two equipment, so we can donate. The incubator is about the central piece of antibiotic sensitivity test, because you need to grow those microbes and then ensure that you know what they are sensitive to. So we made that pledge that day and we asked Dr. Timsia to help us manage that process. So I think 3 or 4 days after, I called her and then she alluded that it was just about 2 people, but one person was was more ready than the other. And I asked her who was that one person, and it was Dr. Monday's name that popped up. So first of all, I got slightly ashamed because so I felt more comfortable dealing with maybe people so all right. But when I thought about the influence he had, and I discussed it with 1 or 2 people, I was like, there's no better person, there's no better place, right, to do it than with Dr. Monday. And the assurance he's getting from us today is that we will not stop at the donation of those equipments. So we covered the fare for Dr. Timsia to come. We've asked her to come because Vetco Lab is one of those labs that we all look up to also in the profession. See how it can run, see how it can work, and if there's anything that is missing, that is stopping it from working, then we will quickly mitigate it. Fortunately for us, we brought Dr. Moses here, and he has also pledged his support too, that I should get back to him just in case there's any missing link. So we are happy this is happening, but we are also happy that this is the beginning of better things to come for private vets. We are going to be biased about private vets, and we'll see how well it goes. So we are hoping, and as I attempt to round up, that this will serve to grow the community, the animal health community. This will serve to grow the practice. More importantly, this will strive to grow that vet that has not been thought about. That vet that is doing so much, like that is really, really doing so much and has not been talked about. We see your effort. That's Dr. Timsia. Welcome.
Many of you are not aware that she was my lecturer. She was my lecturer for the master.
All right, so as I round up, let me round up with the same last statement I was making before she came in, that we hope that you will not give up as a private vet. So I'm a private vet. I know I've had my struggles. There was a time I was owing 17 million, right? You could owe that much as a private vet, but somehow we've built the skill of sleeping even with debts, right? And that was like 5-6 years ago, and I knew my world was almost turning upside down. Fortunately for me now, I'm out of them, and then we're progressing, right? But this is to tell you that even when your efforts are not seen, and I'll give you a quick example of what just happened to Vetco. Vetco is a private vet. Fortunately, they got a little support from Zuritis, but have they gotten support from government? Maybe not, right? And then one night you wake up and then you discover that all your years of experience, right? All your years of investment just goes up in flame. A lot of private vets can relate to that, right? And I'm going to use this as a medium of saying, one, don't give up. Then two, we need to stick together, right? And then we need to ensure, I have some things I cannot say, all right? The more we get people of the leadership cadre that don't think about the real data and put in people who are more passionate about real data and real about you, then I think the better for the profession. The light will turn, the light will shine, right? Next year will be a better year for all private vets. Thank you so much, and then congratulations to the commander.
Thank you very much. Please, let's give him another round of applause. He has said quite a lot. There is so much to go home with. And the relationship between the private veterinarian and the government veterinarian should be a very robust one. It should be a two-way thing, because both of them require the other to perform efficiently and for the general profession to grow. But many times, many private veterinarians tend to isolate and tend to have a mindset about what government is doing. It's not anybody in government that knows exactly what to do at times. But when you cover the gap and you come close, you can be able to make your own inputs and things can really make a lot of progress. That's my opinion. I was a private vet for many years before I joined government. And I still keep my private spirit alive. I don't think like maybe some government vets would think out there. So I think that's one thing to take home from what Dr. Femi has just spoken about. The relationship is very important, but again, it's a two-way thing, and we must keep in touch with each other. We would like to recognize the presence of Dr. Tunisia, who just came in.
Thank you.
While
good afternoon.
good afternoon. You're welcome. Easy. I've actually heard a lot about her during the masterclass and all that, and it's the first time I'm actually meeting her, I think, in person. So the next agenda will be the presentation and unveiling of the equipment. And we'll take also agenda number 7 together with 6. That is dedication of the equipment by Reverend Dr. E.O. Adewara. So, sir, if you permit me, okay, she'll be taking the unveiling. Presentation and unveiling of the equipment by Dr. Tunisia. So I think at this point I will hand over the podium to our just arrived guests to have a word or two and do the presentation.